to think time was my enemy. My future wasn't looking good. So worried about the things I couldn't see. I couldn't see the things I could. I was aging fearfully, worrying my life away, when all along I should have been thankful for every day. Finally made a friend of time. Now you could say that I'm aging gratefully. Aging gratefully.
Broadcasting from the rolling hills of the beautiful Tennessee Valley, from the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains, across this amazing nation and spanning the universe, you're listening to Aging Gratefully. I'm your host, gerontologist Holly Kelly, bringing you exceptional guests and novel information to ensure you age great, live full, and embrace each extraordinary day for the incredible gift it is. We broadcast on all your favorite players, brought to you all over the world. Greetings, most amazing listeners. Welcome each and every one of you. So happy you're joining the show today. It warms my heart to have this time with you, and I'm grateful for it. Of course, it makes me smile oh so big. I had a listener write me this past month and share they'd been a loyal listener for the past several years, and well, they said they'd taken in all the shows because they actually went back and downloaded the ones they'd missed prior to the time they discovered us. And they shared they'd found some little nugget of wisdom or a practice from each one that improved their life. They shared that some shows they just weren't sure would be a topic of interest, but they said they just let them roll. And I thought this part was kind of funny because they said I had a way of bringing them around with my weird use of grammar and entertaining style of introducing things. They said it left them more open to thinking about things they might have never considered previously. I was like, thank you. No, seriously, I love that. It was kind of funny and so thoughtful. I do try to make life enjoyable. And part of this show is about broadening our thoughts and expanding our perspectives about life and growing older. We don't know everything. Well, sure, we did when we were 13 and 14 years old, but those teenager years have come and gone. Now we're works in progress, headed in the right direction, learning, leaning, and growing into newfound directions in fun, demental ways, enriching ways. I ask you to smile with me every show, and when every show opens, because I want you to greet life with a smile. Sure, it looks great on you, but it's so much more. Your smile is more than our signature pose here at the Aging GreatFULLy show. It's more than our tradition. Our Gren Fest smiling spandemics are the result of years of our self-care tradition that I say are shareable and free, and yes, priceless too. If I asked you to walk to a mirror right now and go look at yourself and smile at yourself, do you know what would happen at you, looking at you, smile at you? That smiling you, looking back at you, would laugh. Seriously, you'd laugh. It would be funny. And that's so healthy. So if you need a good laugh, walk yourself to a mirror and smile at you, looking back at you, and think about how silly it all is, and laugh. And let the stress leave your body. Let those neuropeptides do their wonderful thing. They do so well. Whew. Feel that surge of dopamine, endorphin, serotonin, host that neurotransmitter cognitive party in your brain that washes away all your worries. And the next thing you know, you feel amazing. It's a little thing that makes a significant difference so quickly. We can't see what's happening on the inside, but we can feel it pretty quick in our mood. And that, in my opinion, is an on-demand mood lifter upper. Isn't it kind of cool that we can control this with such a simple act? I love that we have the ability to do so. So that's why I remind us every show opening to smile, to remind us of our power of choice and ability to control our mood, and we get to choose happy. There's so much we can control as it relates to making the rest of the years the best of the years. I remember another listener writing to me and saying how challenging the pandemic was early on with social isolation and not being able to go to work she so loved. And she decided to use that time for something positive. This was the result of the episode I did with you out there on the letter to my younger self. And she actually completed that exercise and shared she wrote her letter to her younger self and also made the decision to get healthier during the pandemic. And she did a fantastic job achieving that goal. I was so proud of her commitment to her objectives and serving herself through making small choices towards her ambitions of healthy change that made an impact towards her healthy lifestyle goals. As a result, she not only improved her health and well-being, she felt fantastic. Our health certainly impacts our mind, our body, and our spirit. And similarly, our mind can impact our health, and our body can impact our mind, and our spirit can impact all of it too. You see, this trio works together like a beautifully choreographed ballet. And also they can independently stand out and do a solo act and also play critic too. Your mind can be your most formidable ally and your most challenging adversary. I guess what I'm trying to say is that we need to love these bodies we're in, love them so much and appreciate every day that they sustain us, instead of picking apart the little things we don't like. When I said our bodies can impact our mind, what I mean is that we have a tendency to unknowingly not appreciate aspects of ourselves, to pick apart what we see in the mirror, to find fault with all the flaws, to take issue with everything that doesn't measure up to what we've been told the standard is. But who is setting that narrative? I want everyone to love themselves throughout their journey. My company motto is to love the age you're in. And the word age is in quotes. And I guess what I want us to realize is that there is no perfection. There is only our best go at who and how we are today. There's so much challenge in our younger culture, and studies are showing how difficult it is for them to feel like they are enough as they scroll endless screen time and see images that seem picture perfect and feel they can no longer achieve versions of faultlessness. It creates depression and a feeling of not measuring up, inadequacy, invisibility. We live in a time where we are bombarded with endless possibilities for a nip, tuck, pills for this, remedies to make you look and feel 20 years old again. Message after message is saying, don't be okay with what's going on or how you look. You need to fix this or that. Guess what? I don't want to look 20 years old again. I just want to do my best. Again, many flaws, many setbacks, many hurdles in the journey, but still aging gratefully as best as possible in each and every stage. But that doesn't mean going backwards. It means embracing the here and now, definitely not trying to be something I'm not hiding from the reality that aging means we're going to get wrinkles, not masking the fact that aging comes with other challenges, because it does. And with that, I want to love my body more. I want to appreciate my body more for carrying me to this point. Love it through the aches from those accidents and thank it for sustaining me in spite. Love it through illness and be grateful for its awesome ability of recovery. But what I don't want to do is criticize it. It doesn't mean I'm a supermodel, oh Lord, no, but that's not my calling in the world, far from it. It means we choose to work harder at things that don't come as easy and be at peace with what nature didn't gift or what we might believe isn't perfect. But let me remind everyone, perfection is a sliding scale. What you might be seeing as imperfect may in fact be beautiful to everyone else. We are our best, worst critics. I guess what I'm trying to say is, let's not get so fixated on getting everything perfect. so we can live the perfect life, that we forget to live this perfect life. Life is happening right now. And the more we put into creating a well-celebrated, healthy, fulfilling life, the more we will enjoy and realize the abundance from living in the moment and seizing life from the inside out. And let's remember to celebrate and nurture our beautifully, perfectly imperfect selves along the way, to live long and foster. Today, I want to have a conversation about embracing the life in front of us and focusing on what is important. Sure, we're growing older. That doesn't mean the emphasis is age. I believe the emphasis is you, aging rebels. And the more we focus on that kind of lifestyle, the less we'll be worried about everything else, and the more we'll be loving the life we're living. So this week's Aging GreatFULLy show dedication is to the word lifestyle. It's a noun, and it means the way in which a person or group lives. And this week's Aging GreatFULLy alphabet soup for the psyche this week is kind of a mantra. And it is, I love myself. I love my body. I love my personality. I love my height. I love my curves. I love my smile. I love my age. I love who I was created to be, and I'll add, I love my life, and I love the gift of this day. Today, I have a guest you're also going to so love. I'm so excited to continue this conversation and introduce her to you, Aging Rebels. Dr. Alka Patel is a TEDx speaker, general practitioner, lifestyle doctor, longevity coach, author, and podcaster. She is founder of the Lifestyle First, creator of the Lifestyle First formula, and host of the Lifestyle First podcast. One of her greatest passions is to empower and equip passionate change makers to connect to their DNA and discover, notice, and activate who they are, what they want, and where they are going, so they can outsmart, stress, and outlive life with stress modifying, age reversing techniques for a life of longevity, intention, value, and energy. It's time to live. She helps speakers to self-care, leaders to leverage health and wellness and business, and high-impact experts to live longer, younger. Her own biological age is almost 30 years younger than her chronological age, and she's a believer that yours can be too. Dr. Patel's mission is to help 1 million people reach their potential to live a 1 million hour life. You can learn more about her passion-centered work by visiting her at www.dralkapatel.com. It is with great pleasure, so excited to welcome you to the show. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here.
Oh, we're grateful to have you. And I was so excited to welcome you and invite you to the show. I loved your TEDx speech. And when I saw that, I was like, this is just everything that you were about. I just knew I wanted to bring your work to the listening audience. So you had me, of course, with the speech, and then all of your lifestyle practices that you impart to the world. So definitely, I want to hear what it was like doing the speech.
What it was like doing that. It was, when I use words like easy or hard, maybe a mixture of both, it connected to what really led to my own lifestyle changes. It took me to a time that was difficult to me. So of course it was hard to go there and share what I haven't really shared with anybody before. As you'll know from listening to my TEDx, Holly, the talk was centered around my father and his passing and his sad passing, and what that triggered in me and what that triggered about the care that I was offering to my patients as a doctor as well. And so certainly that journey and sharing that was hard. But you know what was easy as well was it was easy to share a message about how we live and how we live well and how we need to change the way that we look at our health, because it's so, so important to do that.
Yes. Wow. Well, what experience actually led you to focus in this professional area of expertise? Because we're in a prescribing world and all of that. And I love that you chose this route to be a, lifestyle doctor. And so many people are, taking pills for things, and you chose a different route.
Yeah, you're right. And these are not always easy choices. I remember arriving at medical school, wanting to be that doctor that helped people, and you get caught up in what you're taught. Of course you do, and you absorb it all. And I didn't realize at that time that I was also being taught, dare I say it, to be a drug pusher for the pharmaceutical industry. And I don't really say that lightly, in the sense that drugs and medication, of course, they have a part to play in our health and treating our illness. But we forget one really critical step before that, which is what we're talking about today, which is our lifestyle. And I think as a doctor, I never understood that. I never learned that. And as you reminded me already at the beginning of our conversation about my father's story, we do all go on our own journeys, don't we? And I went on my journey, which throttled me towards burnout. And it was really through that experience of recognizing that doing more wasn't what gave me health, what gave me life, what gave me vibrance, that really made me reflect on actually what was I doing in terms of how I was caring for my patient. Was I really being that best doctor that I really wanted to be? And it takes an honest conversation with yourself. And we all have life moments, don't we, where we think things are going to change, but things don't always change immediately. There was a gap between my father's passing and my own time in hospital with an illness related to burnout. There was another gap before I then took the next part of my journey, which was really stepping out of the healthcare system as I knew it, and actually found myself on a plane going off to India, made a decision to go out there to do some voluntary work, and really saw what kind, compassionate care really looked like. That was when my bubble really burst, and I made that choice to fly the flag for self-care and compassionate care and lifestyle focused care, what I really now call common sense medicine.
Wow. Okay. So you spoke on so many things that I want to touch on for listeners. One is many people think that stress and burnout are synonymous. Can you speak to that?
Yes, they're not actually. They're very different. And many of us will have experienced both, but perhaps not even recognize them as different. Stress is a sense of overactivity and overwhelm and too much. Burnout is pretty much the opposite. It's the sense of wanting to step out and really that sense of just wanting to be in yourself. So there's a very strong difference between the two. And burnout is also very strongly connected to the working environment and work. And so it's very much related to your occupation in your working environment, where stress can occur in all sorts of different environments. But I think if you think about stress, you're thinking about overactivity and being on edge. When you think about burnout, you're really thinking about that deflation and that need to just center in on yourself because of overwhelm in both cases, but they are very different.
So when somebody says they have a breakdown, is that more akin to burnout?
Yeah, it's interesting how we use words, isn't it? And those words themselves then carry that label of how things are meant to be. And what is a breakdown? Is it physical? Is it emotional? Is it spiritual? Is it a lack of connection? Is it a lack of being able to be expressive and express yourself? Is
I'm thinking overload.
Yeah, it is. It's all of that. So it's the result of that overload, isn't it? That results in that disconnect from your own identity, that disconnect from people that matter to you, from the things that matter to you. So everything just starts to disintegrate. That network and that we live in, internally and externally, starts to disintegrate with the idea of a breakdown.
Yes, and you spoke of common sense medicine, which I think that your term for it in studying your work to have you on the show, you call them forgotten medicines. Can you speak to what they are?
Yeah, if we go back to medicine and its root. It's really looking at the root, the core, the essence of what drives our health. And the reason I break this down into the essence of our lifestyle is because this is the things that we forget. We forget happiness, kindness, compassion, connection. We forget that food is medicine, that movement is medicine, and we rely instead on something at the end of a pill or a potion or a needle. But the forgotten medicines are very connected to your lifestyle, the way that you style your life. And for me, with my journey with my patients, with my own journey through my own experiences, I've created the acronym Lifestyle First to just really help give us those hooks on what I've discovered are the 10 key elements of our lifestyle that take us back to our core.
So I love that you have coined this health as a verb. Can you talk about that?
Oh gosh, yes, absolutely. So when you think about health, of course, you look it up in the dictionary and it is described as a noun, it's described as a state, it's described as something that you have, which means we take it for granted, don't we? We walk around thinking, I have health, I've got it, this is, I hold it. But actually it's a skill. It's something we have to be active. We have to play an active part in. And what I found as a doctor, and at the beginning of my career, I really enjoyed this. You'd walk into my consulting room, you'd land your health on my lap, I'd do what I did, the magic that I worked, and I'd fix it for you. But actually that took it away from you. You stopped holding onto it. You didn't learn the skills to elevate your own health. And I think this is the fundamental issue with healthcare, is that we treat health as something you either have or that you don't have, rather than something that you do and create and achieve and elevate and optimize, all these things that are within our hands to activate.
Very interesting. And how in my opening, I talked about how that our beauty could be a sliding scale, health as well.
Oh yeah,
because
absolutely.
we have the ability to manipulate it so much.
Yeah.
And
recognize its potential, that there
and be
is.
stakeholders in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah. And that's so powerful and so great and so empowering. Yeah. The gravity of that, and how fortunate for us.
Absolutely. And fortunate that we can tap into this, that we've got access to this constant amount of data and information that our incredible bodies and minds and spirits that you mentioned earlier are sending out to us all the time. And so important then to tap into it, because we're getting signals all the time, aren't we? And I think in the busyness of our lives, it's very easy to ignore what our bodies are sending out to us.
I say all the time, we hit Control-Alt-Delete on these blaring messages that are coming at us because of so much incoming data and so much noise, that we are not paying attention to this magnificent body that was intended to operate so wonderfully. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. We spend our lives, our earlier lives, wanting to be all grown up. We can't wait to be all grown up. And it seems like at some point the narrative switches and we are looking for that fountain of youth. And I feel like in your work, you have found that harmonious middle ground. You're like, you want people to find their health kind of harmony and embrace life. And that's kind of what that spoke to me.
Yeah. And I think it's really about taking people back to their core essence. As you say, we start life with all of this in us, and it gets shrouded by the busyness of life and us being busy, being human doings rather than human being. I'm sure that's something I say a lot. And certainly what I'm a real advocate of is I talk about DNA as part of our core, and I do genetic testing and biological age testing and capturing data. But the essence of DNA is also the ability to what I call discover, notice, and activate. which really means giving yourself some pause in this busyness of life to really discover who you are, what you love, and to notice how you're showing up in this world, and then to activate what you do with real intention so that you're purposeful about the person that you are, and celebrate that as well. I think that's the key thing, is to give ourselves some pause to do that, because that is the way to take control of life and health and your lifestyle, is really to be curious enough to do that discovery piece on yourself, have some space for introspection, and then live life taking action, but really intentional action that's unique for you.
Yes, and I loved that about your work. That acronym was really fantastic. I was hoping on the other side of break that we could also talk about something else that you value so much that's overlooked and is so important, and that is self-care.
Mhm.
Can we also talk about that on the other side of break and your emphasis in that area?
Yeah, for sure.
Wonderful. Don't go anywhere, because this fantastic conversation will continue. Today, we're so grateful to be with Dr. Alka Patel, talking all things lifestyle first and her lifestyle first method, the lifestyle first formula, and so much more. And I invite you to visit her at dralkapatel.com. By the way, I know you out there love our show's theme song. For new listeners, that's Jim Beloff's Aging GreatFULLy. You can find that on iTunes and Amazon Music, and his album Dreams, I Left in Pockets. And I invite you, just download the entire album. You'll love every song in there. I know I'm biased. I love, the Aging GreatFULLy song, but I do have the entire album myself. And visit him at fleamarketmusic.com. You can check out his book, Utopia, and so much that he has going on there. And a lot of people have just loved his beginner ukulele books and everything else. So just check that out. It's so awesome. Special thanks to you out there, awesome aging rebels tuning in all over the world. Oh my goodness. I see the geostats, and it just amazes me. So many people around the globe have just aligned with our messages. I really appreciate you. Thank you for awarding us a top show on aging 4 years in a row. Just really appreciate how you're listening, downloading, and sharing the show with your friends and family. I haven't told you since our last episode my truth, and that is that you rock and you role model, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you. I'm your host, gerontologist Holly Kelly, and we'll be right back.
Hello, this is Dr. Greg Hammer from Stanford. I'm the author of the book Gain Without Pain, and I just enjoyed an hour with Holly Kelly on her show Aging GreatFULLy, and I can just say that it was a tremendous pleasure having a dialogue with Holly. We're speaking the same language, maybe using different terminology, but I have a great deal of respect for Holly and very much enjoyed the show. So I hope to be back and wish you all well. My website is www.greghammermd.com. That's GREGHAMMERMD.com.
Sunrises and Sunsets. Final Affairs Forged with Flair, Finesse, and Functionality is a delightful book for every adult of any age and any stage. This multi-award-winning book, written by gerontologist Holly Kelly, is a soul-soothing journey and novel approach to completing your personal affairs and advanced care planning. Readers are calling it transformative, life-changing, and fun. Prepare lovingly, plan thoughtfully, live dynamically. Available on Amazon and most bookstores. Author autographed copies are available at sunrisesandsunsetsbook.com, where you can subscribe, register for a workshop, and more.
Hi, it's Heidi with Ascend Therapy Services, where we help you to overcome barriers and rise to new heights. I have had the pleasure of being on this incredible show, Aging GreatFULLy with Holly Kelly, and now I have the pleasure of bringing you today's safety tip. As summer comes, think about your day and plan ahead. Try to get your very important outdoor time earlier in the morning or later in the evening to avoid being out during peak sun times. We need our sunshine, but also want to avoid burns, dehydration, and heat exhaustion. You can find more safety tips and other healthy aging resources on my website. Go to weagewithpurpose.com/links, and you will find a variety of handouts and resources on increasing safety, maximizing independence, and living your purpose. Before I go, I want to thank Holly Kelly again for the wonderful information and inspiration she provides to so many across the globe and the beautiful community she has created with her show.
Hey, Aging GreatFULLy listeners, actor Chris Toomey here. Gratitude. What better way to live life? Gratitude, grateful of where you've been, grateful for where you're going, and most importantly, grateful of where you are now. Age is just a number, and that number does not define you or how you must act. And you don't have to be that number. It's just a number. Be who you are and live in gratitude. I apply this in my life in many ways, including listening to the Aging GreatFULLy show every Friday with the wonderfully awesome gerontologist, Holly Kelly.
Thank you so much, best listeners in the entire world, in the entire solar system. It's so true. And guests too. I know, she's amazing. We are here today with Dr. Alka Patel, who promotes living happier and healthier lives by prioritizing your lifestyle. I know, my awesome aging rebels, you're all about this conversation today. So happy to have her with us today. Before we resume our conversation, I want to remind you that we are on all of your smart devices, your Amazon and Fire smart TVs and Samsung smart TVs. We are on every single possible player and platform that you could possibly want us on. You're finding those. Thank you for your Apple reviews, and our listener appreciation shout out this week is to an Apple user who gave us 5 stars. I love it when you all spotlight a specific guest or episode. Thank you for doing that. In this case, this listener wrote, just listened to Holly Kelly interview Sherry Sterling Fernandes and walked away so super inspired. Holly's a great interviewer. I could tell that she was familiar with Sherry's book, Life Mastery. Memorable quotes from Holly. Our personal billboard gets graffiti on it, and may you remember to never act your age. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for listening to that. She was an amazing guest, and I really enjoyed learning more about her work. I'm so happy that that episode spoke to you. And thank you for leaving that review. We really appreciate it. And when you leave these reviews, they mean the world to us. So in honor of this guest and leaving that review, we're going to do a promo code at hollykelly.com, get $10 off a bundle of 2 Sunrises and Sunsets Final Affairs Forged with Flair, Finesse, and Functionality books. So you can work them with a friend or your partner. And why? Because I think everybody who believes they may someday die should prepare and do their advanced directives and all of their end-of-life planning. That's why. So that's $10 off a set of 2 of your books there. The promo code is Aging Rebels, and that's good through 7/31/22. Use the promo code at checkout, Aging Rebels. So you know what else we appreciate? Our guest today. And I'm so happy to have her with us. I want you to visit her at dralkapatel.com, where you can learn more about her life-enhancing work in so many areas, including her passion-centered work in helping others become both empowered and equipped towards change, and connecting to the DNA. And of course, we're learning that that translates with a special way in her acronym to mean discover, notice, and activate who they are, what they want, and where they're going to outsmart stress and outlive life with stress modifying, age reversing techniques for a life of longevity, intention, value, and energy. So visit her website. Also, she has a free gift, 20% off warm-up program. You can use the promo code podcast20. It includes a biological age test, a motivation report, and a results reveal consultation. So that is incredibly awesome. I want you, Aging Rebels, to take advantage of this. This is exclusive for you. Podcast20 is the promo code. And so go to dralkapatel.com and take advantage of that. Of course, if you didn't already know this prior to today, as many will and do, there's many aging markers. There's chronological age, meaning the number of years you've been alive. There's biological age, is kind of may seem as often referred to as physiological age, lifestyle. You can speak to that. And then we have we have our mental age, we have our appearance age. But can you just educate them real quick? I know we said we'd visit the other thing, but can you define biological age?
Yes, of course. So I think if we go back to sort of just words like aging and getting older and really think about the difference here, because sometimes we use these words synonymously. So getting older is, of course, very much attached to that tick-tock of the clock that we know. It's inevitable, isn't it? It's the way life works. Because we know there's a beginning, there's an end, and getting older is the way that we do reach the end. But aging is different. Aging is a physiological, biochemical, epigenetic process. It's what's going on internally. It's your chromosomes shrinking, it's your cells breaking down. So aging really is about the speed at which you get older. And of course, none of us can control that tick of your chronological clock, which you've already referred to, but the talk of your biological clock, the speed at which you age, how well you are, how vibrant you are, that's the speed that you can control. That's what determines how long you live. And as you said, we can measure that biological clock in a very, very different way, because what we do know is that age is a strong predictor. It's the predictor of how long you live and how well you live. But we've always associated that with the number of candles on our cake or the sunrise and the moonrise. But actually, it's your biological age. It's the age of your cellular advancement that is connected to your health span and your lifespan, to your longevity, or what I like to call your healthgevity. That's the difference.
And so this test that you have, Motivation and Results Reveal, that you're offering listeners, this, they can take it, and then also at a later date, they might do some great work and it could change.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the
goal.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we're doing this, because data drives us. We know data drives our determination. So you've got to know what your drivers are for change. So when you measure your biological age and it comes out higher than your chronological age, there's a driver there to want to do something about it. So that single number is going to make a difference to you. And if it's lower than your chronological age, there's still a driver there, because you'll want to know how to maintain that as your chronological age gets higher and higher, because that biological age number, it goes both ways. It doesn't go up in the same way that your chronological age does. So it's really, really important, I think, if there's one number that everyone knows about themselves, it's what's going on internally. It's that cellular level age that's important. And then understand your motivators for change. And this is the sort of thing that I teach on my Lifestyle First course and in my other programs that I have, where do you start with making lifestyle changes? There's so much information out there, isn't there? I know we're talking about self-care, or going on to talk about self-care. So this might lead really well into that, because really my edge on self-care is more about strategic self-care. And that's the difference, is there is so much information out there. In fact, there's information overload. I think looking at some statistics, I think there were more of a 215% increase in people searching for well-being information and self-care information in the last year alone. So we're looking for ways to self-care, but
and somebody might vision themselves with a couple cucumbers over their eyes and a head wrap on, and so it's like, okay, it's self-care Saturday, what do I do? You know what I mean? And so it's good that you're speaking to this, because people are like, okay, how do I self-care? Yeah. So we would love your tips.
It means different things to different people, doesn't it? So the reason I talk about strategic self-care is use your data to direct you in terms of what you do next. Part of that discovery, notice, activate piece is really, really know what are the big rocks that I need to focus on. that I do need to zone in on. That's where I measure and map to the Lifestyle First method, because really there's things in there. If we look at data around, my L in the Lifestyle First method is life's purpose. Now, many of us go through life really not knowing what it's about and why are we here. But the data shows us that you live 7.5 years longer if you have a purpose in life. There's research showing that. So why are we not all using that strategy to actually pause, think about that? Why do I wake up every morning? What matters to me? What's important to me? Use that values piece to live intentionally. And you've already then increased your longevity. So there's lots and lots of research out there. Another piece of research that's really interesting is about emotions. So this is the E in my Lifestyle First method, which is E for emotions. And there was some research done, I think it was at Yale University, which found very simply that if you're optimistic and you feel good about yourself as you get older, and just listening to you speaking earlier, I know that's really what you're promoting, is just that sense of feel good as you get older, then again, you add 7.5 years to your life. So why not spend time creating that feel good, be that glass half full person? And one really good way of doing that is, of course, through affirmations and declarations. You talked about looking in the mirror and smiling already today, but yes, look in that mirror, reclaim yourself as I am healthy and I am energetic and I am loving and I am happy, and really allow yourself, allow your nervous system to tap into that. And it's not just an affirmation, it's a real declaration that you're taking the action then that follows that statement. Doing what it takes to be happy, to be loving, to be energetic. And these are really important things. And there's now research around this. We talk about science, we talk about art. It's really blending them both into really taking, I think, what I describe as the complexity of life and turning it into the simplicity of living.
And this isn't you and I just saying this and promoting this. I mean, they did studies of so many people over so many years and literally documented their life and how long they lived and mortality. And those that were positive and felt really good about aging and they're, growing older and all of that. I mean, and those are the people that lived longer, and those who were pessimistic did not have that long lifespan.
Yeah. Absolutely. And when you add the science to it, I know you've already talked about our endorphins and our dopamine and our desire chemicals and our reward chemicals. All of this is about survival. We have these chemicals, we have these pathways, because ultimately the job of life is to survive. That's why we're here, to keep going for as long as possible. So our minds and bodies are geared to give us exactly what we need to be able to do that.
Yes. I so love that. And I'm glad that we have emphasized so much that the mind is a powerful ally in this journey and quest to help us along our, aspirations to become healthier. So you mentioned, happiness, kindness, gratitude. Is there a way that we could reverse this biological age that you see that people need to do? Is there like a common culprit that you see people, I know it's smoking and I know it's like maybe drinking and stuff like that, but where are you seeing are the areas that people are challenged the most?
It has to be stress. I know we've touched on this a little bit, but the core of what triggers aging, what accelerates aging, in fact, not triggers it, because I think we're aging from the day that we're born, aren't we? But what accelerates it is stress. And again, from a science angle, you'll have heard about the word inflammaging. And inflammation is a very, very core process that we have in us. It's active all the time. But what's happened in our busy 21st century lives is chronic stress, that drip feeding of stress from where did I put my keys to I'm running late again, to then those big life events around grief and loss that we've also talked about as well. So all this chronicity of stress adds up to accelerate inflammation. And we're living, aren't we, in this middle of this stress epidemic. It's a stress epidemic, and stress adds years to the age of your immune system. And there's studies that have focused on telomeres, so they're caps at the end of your chromosomes, which divide, and then they get shorter and shorter as time runs out. And there have been studies that have looked at the telomere lengths and stress levels. One I came across looked at healthy premenopausal women, and the result was that if you're stressed, then you age by an extra 10 years because your immune system is overactivated. You accelerate aging by 10 years if you live with stress. So that really is the one of the key roots is, what are we doing to modify stress? It's your stress hormones that might be shortening your telomeres, shortening the lifespan of your cells. So of course, there's lots more research that we need to do in that area, but we all know when we feel stressed. We can all identify with that. Again, if we tune in, your body's sending you signals. Your voice gets a bit higher pitch, your palms get a bit sweaty, you've got that feeling on edge, your heart's fluttering. You know, we've got all these signals. And what do? We plow on. Instead of actually saying, taking time out, even 60 seconds to just slow down your breathing to less than 6 breaths a minute. Again, what's the science found? It's found that it activates your parasympathetic nervous system, your peaceful nervous system. And there you are, you're slowing down, and you're slowing down aging as well from a biological perspective, which means you get to live longer and share all your gifts and share all your talents and all your skills and all your knowledge and all your kindness and care to the world for so much longer. It's so important.
Yes. Oh, it definitely is. And your mission is definitely to help 1 million people reach their potential to live a 1 million hour life.
Yeah, it's fascinating. When I was on my travels to India, I met a man who was 104 years old, and I hadn't met anyone of that age. And it really struck me talking to him that we have potential, and there is a human that has lived to 116 and beyond. So if you're trying to work out what a 1 million hour life is, it's 116 years. Wow. Now, it might feel like an impossible right now, but the frontiers of science are pushing forward so fast that it's all within our grasp. It is within our grasp right now to live a 1 million hour life.
So what advice would you give somebody that's listening and says, okay, kind of been on the couch too much, I've kind of been a slacker, haven't had the healthiest diet, and really been kind of not doing what I need to do, and they're feeling like, I'm not sure if I can catch up to all this? What would you say?
So what I would say is 2 things. One is you have to know your why. You have to know what your burning desire is. You've got to know, why do you even want to get off the couch? Is it because you heard me and Holly on a podcast talking about it? Is that your why? No. You've really got to tap in to what's the reason, because that's your motivator that will
their why is, let's just make a narrative. Their why is, I want to be here and see my grandkids go to college, and I want to be around for that, and I want to be a vital part of all the happenings ahead.
Yeah, love that. Amazing. In which case, you're going to do what it takes. On you, Holly, you're going to do what it takes so that you are here to play a vital part. So what does it take? Tell me, what is the smallest thing that you can do to get closer to where you want to be? The smallest thing. What is it? What can you actually do?
Well, I always say that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with simply just lifting up your foot. But I don't know, for this person, I would think that the hardest battle is mental, because it always is.
Yeah, but you've told me there's a reason. So if you told me you've got a strong reason to be here, then affirm that and declare it and share it and tell people, have accountability. If you can't create that with yourself, create it with your best friend, your spouse, have someone in your life that's going to give you that little nudge. And the other thing that I would say, you talk about, take that first step, is create an environment for success. If you've made that decision that I am going to go out for a walk every day, then don't hide your trainers in the back of the cupboard. Have them right at the bottom of the stairs where we can see them, and you'll fall over them. And it's the nudge that will remind you. So you've got to have reminders, you've got to have hooks, you've got to have a desire. I've got a whole program on how habits work in my course as well, which I teach some of this as well. So there's a whole science of habits, is how to just get yourself into that mindset that these things become automated. I now find myself brushing my teeth, standing up and down on tiptoe, because I've created a habit that says when I brush my teeth, I will do some calf exercises, and it's automatic. I don't even have to think about it. And this is what you want to happen for lots of the things that are important for you. You don't want to have to rely on willpower or someone else reminding you. You want these things to happen. So create that environment for success. When I turn on my computer every day, I will take 6 deep breaths. When I come down the stairs every morning, I will have a glass of warm water. You choose, but have the hooks, have the strong desire, and then have the things in your environment that are going to be strong reminders for you.
Wow. So yes, you create the situation so that it is a winning dynamic for you. So yeah, that's amazing. I don't like cold water, but why did you say warm water?
Because interesting there. I don't like drinking cold water either. So there's about, I don't like drinking that. But my grandfather lived to 100, and he always drank warm water. I never asked him why. Oh, but he did, and maybe somewhere, there's learned behavior.
It's in you. Okay, all right. Because I drink my water, and I mean not necessarily warm, but I drink it room temperature. I don't like cold water. That's so funny. Yes. So as we wind down the show, I wonder, is there any lasting words of wisdom or just nuggets of something that you want to share with listeners?
What would I say? I would very simply say, don't airbrush yourself with generic advice. Now, that probably doesn't mean anything to anyone listening at the moment. So what I mean is, you can make aging a beautiful process through which you flourish, but only if you do it with intention and precision. So make it your priority to know yourself. And I mean, know your numbers, tap into your data, tap into your mind, tap into the information that your body's giving you. Use science, use technology, use what we have, because this is your time that you really can access what is available to us. And this wonderful time and space that we're living that lets us tap into your intuition, the data, the signals, but also beyond that, using technology to do that as well. So yeah.
So important. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because my son, who's 25, had gotten his blood work as, just part of his regular doctor's visit. And he said that, the doctor called and said, everything's fine. I said, well, what are your numbers? He goes, I don't know. He said, everything's fine. I go, well, no, you need to know your numbers. He goes, I don't know. He said, everything's fine. I said, no, you tell him that leave your blood results at the front desk and you'll go get them. You need to know these things. They're yours. These are yours. You paid for them. Take possession of them and keep them in a file so that you have a baseline and that you always know how things are changing and that you're able to see them. And so he goes, well, okay. And so he picked them up and then he studied them and he was so fascinated by them. And he goes, oh, well, this one's kind of here and this one's in the middle. And it was really interesting for him to see that. And he started saying, oh, what is this? And what is this? And we looked up the numbers and what things were. And I'm trying to teach my kids early on to be very big stakeholders in their health.
Oh, 100%. You're the holder of your health. You're the conductor of your orchestra. You're the author of your story. It's you, isn't it? So you have to hold these things as your own. And I love what you've said about make it fun, make it exciting, be intrigued by it. And also recognize what happens if you don't hold those numbers. I always use the analogy of a pilot flying New York to London. Now, if he got on his plane and said, hey guys, strap up, seatbelts on, I'm pressing autopilot and we'll be at our destination in 8 hours, I'm on cruise control. Do you really think we're going to end up in London? We're not, because there's trade winds and there's things that are going to take us off course. So you always have to measure and map. You have to keep checking your dials. The pilot has to keep checking his dials. And if you don't check your dials, what was a 1 degree off at the beginning of your health journey, you're going to end up where you really don't want to be. So enjoy the numbers, be fascinated by the numbers, tap into the numbers, make them yours, be curious, and actually take action on them, is what I would say.
Yes. Yes. So I'm just so glad that you talk about that, because it's important, and it's important that we do it at all ages. Yes. So what a wonderful hour. You're brilliant. You are amazing. We so appreciate you. The world needs you. And we just so cherish this time with you, and we embrace the work that you're doing. It's been a joy having you on the show and learning more about everything that you're doing. We can't have the hour end without knowing how you age gratefully.
How do I age gratefully? Well, you know, I love acronyms. I've already shared many of them with you. So
you're at the right place.
I'm in the right place. Great. Well, let me see if I can come up with one for great. So I age gratefully with gratitude, having gratitude in my life, and think about that every day. I age gratefully with radiance.
You are radiant.
Knowing that I have the ability to radiate, as we all do. I age gratefully with E for energy, because that's so important, and thinking about what energy do I want to share with the world today. I age gratefully, where are we? GREA, with affirmations, and really having a strong positive sense of who I am. And the T is for time, taking time to pause, to enjoy, to be in awe and amazement of this world we live in, the body that I have, the person that I am, the people that I'm connected to. Really taking time.
Well done. Well done. And we have appreciated our time with you immeasurably. So thank you so, so much for the gems that you bring and share with the world. It's absolutely amazing. And we wish you continued success. You're welcome back anytime. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been an absolute privilege, pleasure being here with you all.
Same here. So thank you. You've been listening to Aging Gratefully, and I'm your host, gerontologist Holly Kelly. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've enjoyed our message, I invite you to subscribe and share it with others. May you remember to never act your age, and that age is just a number. And may you enjoy and embrace the coming week in the spirit of gratitude. Until we meet again, here's to living your best life now.
I used to think time was my enemy. My future wasn't looking good. So worried about the things I couldn't see. I couldn't see the things I could. I was aging fearfully, worrying my life away, when all along I should have been thankful for every day. Finally made a friend of time. Now you could say that I'm aging gratefully.